everyone. We're going to graph the greatest integer function of 2x. And the greatest integer just means the greatest integer less than or equal to x. So that means when you plug in values for x, you're going to round down. So it's a round down to the greatest integer. All right? So I assume that you already know how to do the parent function because this is more of a transformation here. We're also going to find the domain, locate intercepts, and find the range. So this is what we have, and you should already know what the greatest integer function looks like. So it looks something like this, and then it jumps up. I'm going to go by 2's here. And it keeps going up and up and up. And then in the third quadrant, you just go this way. Just go backwards here. All right? So that's what the greatest integer function looks like. It's like a step function. Now we have to label the graph. So if we do a table of values, we know this is 0 here. So if you do a table of values, so this is your x, your input, and your f of x is your output. So if you plug in 0, you get to 0. If you plug in 1, you go map to 2. You plug in 2, you map to 4. So your domain can be all real numbers. So I need to know what happens when you plug in 1/2, 3/2, 5/2, and so 1/2, 2/2 is 1, 3/2, 4. This would be 5/2. So basically, when you plug in 1/2 into here, you get f of 1/2 equals the greatest integer of 2 times 1/2. And when you plug that in, you're going to get 1. So you get a 1 here. And basically, all you're doing is you're multiplying this by 2, and you get 3. You multiply this by 2, and you get 5. So here's your number. So when you label this graph, you're labeling this as 0. This is 1/2. At 1/2, it maps to 1. Then 2/2, which is 1, maps up here to 2. And then right here, this would be 3/2. 3/2 maps to 3, and so forth. And then this one would be 4/2, which is 2. All right? And then you just copy it down. Back here, this would be -1/2, -1, -3/2, and so forth. All right? So that's all you have to do. I already went over the parent function on this negative. Remember when you're doing negatives, so if I do 2 times -3/2, that's going to equal -3. So that works out good. And so this would be -1, -2, and -3. So now for the other ones, say you have to the 3x. So let's go ahead and just graph the same thing. And I'm just going up so it doesn't look so, I'm going up by 2's. Because all you have to do is label this. It should be open. Let me make that more open. And just keep copying this down. And now we have to label this. So since this is 3x, what's happening is it's changing. And I'm just starting at 0 here because I can just copy the third quadrant. Then I'm going to go 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, etc. So when you do that, and you're multiplying this by, well, 0 maps to 0. If you multiply all these by 3, then this cancels out, and you're going to 1. This maps to 2, 3, and that cancels out. So when you're labeling your graph, you already have the graph drawn, and all you have to do is label the graph appropriately. 1/3 maps to 1, 2/3 maps to 2, 3/3, which is actually 1, maps to 3. And then you can go 4/3. That's going to map to 4 here. All right? And then all you do is copy whatever you have here on the left side. So that's -1/3, -2/3, -3/3, which is -1. All right? So as long as you know that it's going by the concept, these are really easy. So if we have 4, I just copy the same graph. I'm just going to do 3 now. And open here. Just copy it like this. And now it's going to go by fourths. So this is 1/4, maps to 1, 2/4, maps to 2, 3/4, maps to 3. And then you go on and on and on, and then just copy this: -1/4, -2/4, -3/4. All right, so anytime you have an N, all you're going to do is make this an N at the bottom. So if you have N, I'm going to go to this now. So let's do the N one. If you do the N one, f of x equals N times x. Then all you do is copy it, just write it down, and because everyone writes big or small, it doesn't matter. And then just copy it down here. And I guess I'll do it one more time. And I did it one more time, I can't do it right. So here we go. Now, so this is just 0. This would be 1/n. 1 divided by n goes to 1. This would be 2 divided by n. That maps to 2. 3 divided by n maps to 3. And then again, you just copy this here, -1n, -2 divided by n, and -3 divided by n. All right, that's it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.